June offered no resistance, and he stopped at the corner and turned his head. As he'd expected, Clover was nowhere to be seen. The only thing on the other side of the divider was a dead body, lying in a reddish-brown puddle of drying dead blood. There are many ways a man can die, but this? The skull was shattered, and the head was little more than a pulpy mass of brain, bone, and viscera. The left arm was hideously twisted into a horrific alien shape, the bright white of the ulna shining through the remains of skin and muscle. Huh? Wait. Bright white? Wait! The left arm was supposed to be fake! This is a fake body. This is a fake body! What does that mean? If this was a fake body, there's no way in hell Clover would have told us about the arm being missing. Snake, oh my god. Bones. The pieces fell into place. Junpei remembered something Clover had told him in the laboratory. My brother's left arm is, it's not like a normal person's arm. The accident hurt him really bad. To save him, they had to cut off his arm. It's a fake body. Snake behind this? Of course. Of course! Why hadn't he realized it earlier? Clover had told Junpei that Snake's left arm was prosthetic. But the left arm, the corpse left behind the divider, was clearly a real human arm. Or at least it had been once. That meant the corpse. Okay, Snake could totally be behind all this. Let's see if it falls into place with everything else I know. If Snake wasn't murdered, then how'd he get through the door? It could have been while they were broken and he had a different way through. Maybe. But that doesn't seem right. If it was zero, if Snake is zero, then doing that would put us into more strife and cause us to possibly want to kill each other. But if he wants the hopelessness of finding out there's multiple 9 doors and that everything we did was pointless, then did he really need to push us at all? No. So what's the point in faking Snake's death? Junpei and June head back to the large hospital room. They stepped through the door and out of the shower room. Down the hallway they went, searching for Clover in every corner. They had reached the stairs when Seven appeared, breathless and yelling, "Junpei! June! Where were you guys?" He looked pale and his face drawn. Something terrible had happened. Junpei's breath caught in his throat. Did something happen? Seven drew his shaking hand across his face and gulped a breath of air. Clover's dead. What? No, wait! Okay, Okay, let's just wait until more happens. There are too many possibilities right now. I found her in the first-class bathroom. All sound ceased for Junpei. The world was an empty, muffled expanse, and he began to hear his own breathing. I guess that's where the dead body is. Right. Of course. Thanks, game. The dead body you decided to show us is the youngest one. Great. June's mouth moved, but he heard nothing. She tried once more, and then her energy was gone and she collapsed against the wall. He could have helped her, but he hadn't. Now she was dead. So he stood there, frozen in place. Clover. Why? Why had this happened? He forced his body to move. Each step felt like another nail pounded into his heart. Finally, he was in front of her. He knelt and placed 3 fingers against Clover's neck. No pulse. No breath. But she was still warm, and her eyes were closed peacefully. It would have been easy to think she was asleep. Easy, that is, were it not for the slowly expanding puddle of blood beneath her. He traced its source to her back, a gash just beneath her shoulder blade. Was the weapon a knife, perhaps? It was a knife. The killer had taken it when they left. When he closed his eyes, he saw Clover smile. Her innocent smile. Her energy. He would never see her smile again. It could have done something. He could have helped her. His stomach twisted itself into a sickening knot. Junpei lifted a limp June from the floor and carried her from the bathroom. Damn it! None of my theories are panning out. None of them! Ugh! Are you alright? It was a foolish question and he knew it. Yes, I think so. Her voice was weak. The fever had gone down, but the emotional scars she received were not likely to recede as quickly. Junpei laid his hand on her shoulder and they walked back to the bedroom. You should get some rest. He lowered June until she was sitting against the bed. She nodded once and stared at the floor. There were 4 others in the room. Ace, Lotus, Santa, and Seven. What happened to June? We just found Clover dead in the first classroom bathroom. Stabbed in the back. So yeah. They all stared at nothing, their faces drawn and tired. After a while, they drifted into the bathroom to see Clover's corpse for themselves. Once everyone was back in the bedroom, Junpei walked slowly to the center of it and looked around at as some figures gathered there. Who was the first to find the body? Me. Seven spoke from behind Junpei, turned around. Seven's hand was up. Why'd you come to this room? To look for Clover. Why else? I found her body in the bathroom. As soon as I did, I ran outside. Got to the top of the stairs by the casino and yelled as loud as I could. Hey guys, I found her, but it's bad. She's in the bathroom in the first class cabin. Come quick! Or something like that. Then I went back to the bathroom. Ace, Santa, and Lotus showed up real soon after that. I guess you two hadn't heard me or something because you didn't show. So I took off down the stairs to look for you. After that, you know the rest, right? It's not just a numbers game, but the thing is, there wasn't a real body for Snake. There wasn't a real body. It was a fake. The left arm was there. And I really don't think Clover lied about that. There's gotta be more to this. I'm gonna let it play out for now. There are too many theories going on in my head, and none of them really fit. But yeah, revenge is already something I'm assuming. I just don't know what. For what? Against whom? Why? That kind of thing. Junpei nodded and closed his eyes. There was one more thing he needed to ask. Seven, there's one more thing I'm worried about. What's that? We finished all the puzzles in the room, and got the door open. Stuck one of those plates in between the door and the frame, right? Why'd you do that? Come on, didn't I already tell you that? I did it so that door wouldn't lock, so we could come back to this room. Oh, you think I did it? Well, I don't know. It kind of depends on what you say, doesn't it? Seven sighed and shook his head. Follow me. There were 2 doors standing next to one another. He opened the one to the right. Behind the door was a closet. Seven stepped inside, stood in front of one of the shelves that filled it, and gestured toward a small box. The box was a small metal cube. I remember this. We couldn't get inside. He looked at Junpei. This is the reason. This safe. We couldn't open it when we were getting through this room. That's right. I was expecting us to use Snake's hearing ability to try and get through. I figured there might be something pretty important in it. Couldn't stop thinking about it. Besides, eventually we might figure out what the numbers are for in the safe. And if we did, we don't want to screw around with door 5 again. So I put that plate in the exit door so we could get back in that way. You get it now? Junpei nodded and looked at the safe. It's a reasonable thing, to say the least. Grabbed the handle and shook it. Nothing happened. It was locked as it had been when Seven found it. There was one change, however. Just underneath the safe was a pile of fine reddish-brown powder. Rust. Junpei stared at it for a moment. Had someone opened the safe, dislodging the rust? Junpei left the closet. Finally came out of the closet. I've been suspecting it this entire time. Seven followed him back to the bedroom. It was cold and quiet. No one spoke. They sat, frozen in place by shock and grief and fatigue. The room felt tiny and oppressive, and a thick metallic smell of blood filled the room. Junpei turned and headed for the living room. Anything to get out of here. Was there some other clue, perhaps? Anything that might lead them to whoever stabbed Clover. He took his time and examined the room carefully. His eyes caught on the door. The door that led to the passageway of door number 5. Behind that door was the dead body of the 9th man. Maybe I should have another look at it, just in case. Quietly, he pushed open the door. The smell hit him like a blow to the face. His lungs contracted, unwilling to inhale the fetid air. Acid boiled up from the base of his stomach, churning what little food there was there into a violent broth. It was too much for him, and he vomited. A thin stream of yellow water and bile spattered onto the floor. He wiped his mouth weakly and stared at the dead body. Chunks of torn flesh lay in an arc around the body. What remained of the intestines slid onto the floor. The pool of blood that framed it was half dry, but so thick that it had taken a texture not unlike that of an egg yolk, prepared sunny side up. On the floor next to the broken mass of the man's head lay his glasses, cracked, spidering across the lenses. The bloodstains near them had already dried, like scabs on the floor. That was when he noticed. It's gone. His bracelet. It's gone. It had been there when Junpei had gone through door number 5 before. He was sure of it. Right next to one of the glasses. Right next to glasses. But now... it was gone. The number 9 bracelet was gone. But why? Had someone taken it? He was turning it over and over in his mind when he heard Seven's voice. Huh? Where'd Junpei go? It had drifted out to him from the living room. Junpei walked slowly out of the hallway. Someone took the 9. There's nothing that said... Actually... Need to let this play out. Oh, there you are. Were you looking for something in the hallway? Seven looked up as Junpei entered the room. Did you find something? He thought for a moment before he responded. No, nothing. Technically, it wasn't a lie. He hadn't found anything. In a way, in fact, that was the problem. This isn't the first time he's keeping things from people. During that Democratic offering for getting that Democratic vote for what door he wanted people to go in, he said he rigged it. He said he did it for a reason. Okay, maybe he didn't rig it, but he did say he did it for a specific reason. He never explained to us, the player, what that reason was, and he certainly didn't explain it to them. Junpei's hiding things. You're thinking one person could use 2 bracelets. I think that's possible. The only reason I think that might not be possible is when they touch the dead to reset their bracelet, and when they touch the red to set their bracelet. You would have to have it on your hand, on your wrist, unless all it needs is proximity to the bracelet, and that's what it's detecting, and it's not detecting the hand at all. But it could easily work on both hands, possibly. So there's a lot of reasons why someone could use 2 bracelets. The question is why. If you have all the bracelets in your possession, congratulations, we can get through the 9 doors. Both of them, if we had all the bracelets in our possession. But someone would have to be open and honest enough to tell us they had the bracelets. And for some reason, I don't think that's the case. Wait! 9 plus 2 equals 11, which the root is 2. Ace. Ace could have both the bracelets. He could have the bracelet from both Snake and 9, and he could leave. However... could it work otherwise? No, wait, it couldn't be Ace. It couldn't be Ace. It couldn't be Ace. It couldn't be Ace. No. 9 plus 2 is 11, and that root is 2. So I need to add 7 to that. Mountain could have both. But now someone can get Clover's! Shit! 9 plus 2 plus 4. It gives you 15, and the digital root is 6. Add 3 to that, and you get 9. Could be Santa. I don't like where this is going! Something he'd expected to find hadn't been there. The ninth man's bracelet. What's up? Well, I wanted you to take a look at something. What is it? 7 led Junpei back to the bathroom. As Clover's corpse came into view, he felt his heart flip and fall to the bottom of his stomach. Something between a sigh and a groan escaped his lips. What was it you wanted to show me? His voice was hollow and empty. I searched Clover's body again. I found this. Is her bracelet covered by her long sleeves, or does she not have it? And as he spoke, he moved around Clover's head, then knelt down and flipped open her right hand. What? She was holding a piece of paper. I haven't actually looked at it yet. Didn't want to disturb the crime scene, you know. Basic stuff. Well, I did borrow one thing. I wasn't sure what that had meant, but it likely didn't matter. No, it matters! Tell me! Paper was more important. He picked it up and carefully opened it. There were 2 sentences written on it. Truth had gone, and truth had gone. Ah, now truth is asleep in the darkness of the sinister hand. What is this? Some kind of secret code? I'm writing this down. Alright, let's see. LLR is going to be important, probably. That was written on the wall where Snake, quote-unquote, died. But I'm going to write this whole passage down. Truth had gone. Truth had gone. Truth had gone. Ah. Now truth is asleep in the darkness of the sinister hand. I don't like this. 7 peered over Junpei's shoulder at the note. Junpei stepped away from Clover's body and into the living room. He began to pace, attempting to decode the note. The first clue was likely the phrase sinister hand. Sinister hand means left hand. You call the left hand sinister. Sinister was a term used in heraldry that meant to the left of the bearer of a coat of arms. The left hand. The left hand. What did the left hand mean? Snake's left hand. Junpei looked at his own left arm. Or maybe it just means the bracelet? The bracelet on his wrist. Did the darkness of the sinister hand have something to do with the bracelet? He examined the bracelet closely. There were 2 protrusions on either side of the face. The left and right sides of the face. Left and right. Left and right. Right and left. The truth is gone. Truth gone. It sounded funny. What did it mean? Truth gone. Maybe these 2 words. Truth gone, 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 no. Gone truth, no. Nog da hitrut, no. What else could they mean? What else could gone and truth mean? Truth, of course, meant something that was correct, something that was fact. In other words, something that was right. Right had left, right had left, right had left. It would follow then that gone had meant left. After all, someone had left, they were gone. In this case, however, they clearly referred to the directional homonyms. So that means truth equals right, Gone equals left. That seemed to make sense. Junpei looked at the bracelet again. At the 2 protrusions on the left and right of the face. Junpei pressed them in the following order. Right head left, right head left, right head left. And then 1438341. 1438. That's all I can remember. Something 21. 8 numbers flashed on, then off on the face of Junpei's bracelet. He checked one more time to be sure. 1 4 3 8 3 4 2 1. I only missed 2 numbers because I knew it ended in 2-1. Huh? Hey, what are those numbers? Junpei didn't answer. He couldn't answer. He had no idea what they were either. Besides, he was sure he would forget the numbers and the order they came in if he said anything. 14383421. Muttering the numbers to himself over and over, Junpei headed toward the bedroom. He's going to use that on the combination of the safe. But that means somebody else already figured this out. She had the note, so it was either Clover or whoever killed her. Before long, he found himself in front of the safe again. Its lock was the only device he could think of that required a sequence of numbers such as the ones he'd just discovered. Besides, someone had opened the safe at least once already. Had Clover come to the bedroom to open it? Junpei slowly dialed in the numbers on the bracelet had given him. 1 to the right, 4 to the left, 3 to the right, 8 to the left, 3 to the right, 4 to the left, 2 to the right, 1 to the left. Finished. Junpei heard the small telltale sound of a lock opening, grabbed the handle, took a deep breath, and pulled it up. Remember, we did specifically say that you could do this through hearing, and Snake had excellent hearing, and he's not dead, so he could have opened this without the note. Inside was a piece of paper. It was roughly the same size as the one Clover had been holding. Junpei picked it up. This is what it said. Fact number 1. The Nonary game was played once before, 9 years ago. Fact number 2. The person with the number 2 bracelet attended the game 9 years ago. Snake was in this game 9 years ago? Is that how he lost his sight and arm? Fact number 3. It was planned by the following 4 people. Cradle Pharmaceutical CEO, Juntaro Hungo. I'm gonna write that down as Ace's name. Wait. These might... If there are multiple pharmaceutical members, then it could be Ace was not the CEO back then. Cradle Pharmaceutical Chief of Staff, Nagisa Nijisaki. Cradle Pharmaceutical R&D Supervisor, Tsuruaki Kubota. Majority shareholder in Cradle Pharmaceutical, Kagachika Musashido. I must punish them for the innocent lives they sacrificed. This is the only warning they will receive, that innocent souls might be saved. I now state the truth. 0. The Nonary game was played before, and Snake was in it. Junpei left the closet. There were 5 people waiting for him in the bedroom. Ace, Lotus, Santa, 7, and June. He looked at each of them in turn, and slowly placed his hands in the pockets of his vest. Sorry, but do you think you could all come with me? Come with you? I want all of you to go to the big hospital room. Why? There's something I want to be sure of. What do you want to be sure of? I want to know if the person I suspect is really the culprit. Wait, and you're saying... Yeah, I think I've got this figured out. Well, I'm sure glad somebody has! I know who killed Snake and Clover. The atmosphere in the room changed. Grief was suddenly gone, replaced by a tension like the strap of leather stretched to its limit. 5 sets of eyes stared at Junpei. He pretended not to notice. Anyway, if we could all please move to the big hospital room. I'll explain everything as soon as we get there. Then, almost as if on cue, the bell began to ring. They all heard it. It was the bell from the clock in the main staircase. We only have an hour left, don't we? The bell rang 5 times, then ceased. It was 5 o'clock. They had only 1 hour left. We don't have a lot of time left. Let's go. Slowly, one by one, they followed Junpei out of the bedroom. Actually, before we get started, I was hoping you could do something for me. Junpei stopped in front of door 3 and turned around. Ace 7, Lotus, would you please place your palms on the red? Huh? Why? If we need to get in the shower room, why don't we just... No. We're not going inside. Once you've authenticated, step away from the door. Why? Please just do it. Perhaps you don't want to know who killed Snake and Clover. Junpei's implication was clear, and Seven understood perfectly. Ugh, fine. What about you, Ace? Lotus? Very well. Sure. Quickly, they pressed their palms onto the red. Once they had finished, they stepped away from the door, and Junpei had instructed. 3 asterisks shown on the red's display panel. Junpei approached it and held his bracelet over the scanner. Made quite sure he didn't place his palm on it, and instead only brought his bracelet near it. He's testing my theory! It worked! Damn! The 4th asterisk appeared, just as Junpei had expected. It was possible to authenticate without placing one's palm on the red, as long as the bracelet was brought near it. Junpei pulled the lever down. I'm really thinking it's Santa now, but I don't think he's Zero. Door 3 opened like a hungry mouth. 9 long seconds passed. And the door shut, unfed. Junpei walked slowly back to the others who were waiting from distance from the door, talking to one another. Santa and June joined them as well. It looked as though they hadn't found a chance to break into the conversation yet. As Junpei approached, they turned to look at him, curiosity plain on their face. Before long, the other 3 did as well. Clearly, they were all expecting some answers. Thanks. I appreciate your cooperation. Clearly, they'd hoped for something more forthcoming. He continued. By the way, Ace, would you mind if I asked you something? What is it? Do you know who I am? Well, what kind of question? Just answer it, please. Who am I? You are Junpei. Of course, who else would you be? Unfortunately, that's the wrong answer. Actually, I'm Santa. What? His voice was full of surprise, but it was also tinged with confusion and fear. Everyone else looked nearly as surprised. Santa looked especially shocked to discover he was actually someone else. If he spoke, however, the trap would be exposed. Junpei quickly continued. The clothes I'm wearing I borrowed from Junpei, and the clothes he's wearing are mine. We had a little swap. That's ridiculous. Impossible. So you're saying I'm not Santa? Of course you aren't. Why? What makes you so sure I'm not Santa? If you were Santa, then door 3 wouldn't have opened for us just now. 1 plus 7 plus 8 and plus 3 equals 19. 1 plus 9 would be 10. The additional root would be 1. But the 4 of us just opened door number 3. You can't possibly be Santa. Your bracelet number isn't 3. It's 5, right? Only then was it too late to Ace realize his mistake. He set his jaw and glared at Junpei. You're exactly right. My bracelet number is 5. As he spoke, Junpei lifted his wrist up to show everyone the bright red 5 on his wrist. Sorry, Ace. I tricked you. Of course I'm not really Santa. I'm Junpei. Who could possibly think I was? It's obvious I'm not. To think I was? Ridiculous. I guess you can see just how obvious it was. I asked you before, didn't I? What makes you sure I'm not Santa? Oh, we're pointing out the fact that he can't recognize faces. And you answered. If you were Santa, then door 3 wouldn't have opened for us just now. Most people wouldn't say something like that. That's their justification for why I'm not Santa, I mean. The first thing that would come to anyone else's mind would be the bracelet number. Wouldn't be the bracelet number. There'd be only one thing they'd say. One sentence. You don't have his face. Ace, you have prosopagnosia. Am I right? Junpei's voice was quiet and calm. He knew the truth. So did Ace. He could hear a sudden buzz of conversation from the others. Prosopagnosia? What's that? He heard Lotus begin to explain it to them. Ace glanced at them, then turned back toward Junpei and sighed. Very well. I confess. I have prosopagnosia. I cannot differentiate human faces. Is that what this was about? You want to mock me for my disorder? No, not at all. I'm not making fun of you at all. In fact, I feel kind of bad for you. Now, the reason I brought this up is that there's an excellent chance the person who killed Snake has prosopagnosia. Ace's face tightened. His eyes narrowed. What do you mean? Junpei leaned casually against the iron piping of one of the beds. I'll just come right out with it. I think it was you, Ace, who killed him. Junpei was suddenly very aware of 5 pairs of eyes on him. That was one of the mathematical possibilities that we looked at, I think. That Ace could have stolen enough bracelets to be able to escape on his own. He had the undivided attention now. The room had grown very, very quiet. Junpei took a deep breath. That's ridiculous. What possible evidence do you? I have 3 pieces of evidence. The first, think back to a few hours ago. You made us argue over the 3 doors in the big hospital room. There's no way all 7 people could go through them. Lotus suggested that we sacrifice one of us. Lotus looked away awkwardly. Junpei glanced at her and continued. Then you, Ace, said, I'll stay here. Why would you say something like that? It's pretty simple, really. You didn't want us to see the dead body in the shower room. You see, if Ace stayed behind, there were only 2 doors the rest of us could go through. Doors 7 and 8. There's no way we could get through door 3, the shower room. You knew that, didn't you, Ace? That's why you volunteered to stay behind. Come on now. I think that's going a bit far. I can understand if you're jealous of my bravery, but please don't devalue my actions. I only wanted to save the rest of you. Surely you can understand my altruism. Altruism, huh? You know, the head of a pharmaceutical company, if they were a decent head, would probably know the exact dosage of their product to not kill themselves, but to render themselves unconscious for maybe half hour. Junpei stared off in the darkness at something very interesting, and lazily began to dig a persistent bit of wax out of his ear. You already knew, didn't you? You knew that whichever doors we took, eventually we'd end up back in the big hospital room. What on earth are you saying? Of course I didn't know that. How could I have? Really? Yes. Pleading was not something he'd heard from Ace before. Junpei pulled the piece of wax from his ear, glanced at it, and flicked it off in the darkness. Oh, well, that's cool. I've still got 2 more pieces of evidence that say you're the killer. The second is that, as I said earlier, you have prosopagnosia. And what do you mean to imply that a person can't distinguish human faces must be a bad person? Junpei, they call that prejudice. No, I'm not that stupid. Then why? Well, before I explain, I suppose there's something I should tell you. A corpse in the shower room. It's not Snake's. What? Ace's face went pale. The others looked confused as well. The body wasn't Snake's. I didn't put it together right away, but there was something Clover told me. She said Snake's left arm was prosthetic. He'd lost the real arm in an accident. Damn it! Didn't get to the mute button fast enough. Sorry about that, folks. Ugh. Sneeze. Attack. Sudden. Ugh. Blah. Anyway. The body we saw in the shower room, let's call him Guy X. X? Like 10? Like 10? I like that. Guy X's left arm was definitely flesh and blood. In other words, Guy X couldn't possibly have been Snake. Oh god. No, that's impossible. Ace started muttering deliriously to himself, shaking his head back and forth. Junpei was long past caring. Let's say, hypothetically, that the killer didn't have prosopagnosia. If that were the case, he would immediately recognize that Guy X wasn't Snake. He sneezed, no one's following. I tried to stop it, I swear. Even if the clothes were the same as Snake's, their face would be completely different. It would have been pretty obvious they were different people. And yet they still killed him. Why? Why would they kill a stranger who'd only just shown up? On the other hand, the killer did have prosopagnosia. It makes sense. They thought Guy X was Snake and killed him. Wait just a moment. Let's say you're right and I mistook Guy X for Snake. Even if I did, I would have no motive to kill him. Why would I want to kill Snake? I can think of at least 2 motives. 1, Snake knew about your past. If he ever revealed what he knew, then it would have been really bad for you. Snake survived the last experiment. You really didn't want that to happen. So to make sure Snake's mouth stayed shut, you killed him. 2, Snake had a grudge against you. You knew that, or at least you could have easily assumed he did. Even without exposing your identity, he was a threat to you. You never knew that when you might be attacked. You could never let your guard down. Every moment was a moment he might try something. You didn't want that kind of danger hanging over you, so you... Hey, hold on a minute. For the first time since the beginning of Junpei's explanation, someone besides Ace spoke. What's the past that Ace wouldn't want us to know about? Why did Snake have a grudge against him? Look at this. He handed Santa a small piece of paper. Santa squinted at the paper and began to read. The Nonary game was played once before 9 years ago. First when number 2 bracelet attended the game 9 years ago. It was planned by the following 4 people. Cradle Pharmaceutical CEO... What is this? Slowly Santa looked up from the paper. His eyes met Junpei's. It's the message from Zero. It was in the safe in the first-class cabin. Then suddenly... Give me a break! Ace's face went red and shaking, and his face was full of fury tinged with desperation. That paper is a lie! Someone is trying to frame me! Me? You said me, right? Junpei's eyes narrowed and the trap began to close. Ace inhaled sharply. His eyes flicked off of Junpei to anything else. Wouldn't that mean you're admitting you're Hongo, the CEO of Cradle Pharmaceutical? Or am I mistaken? It was as though a switch had been flipped. The color drained from Ace's face. When he realized what he'd done, his eyes went wide. Very well. I admit that much. I'm certainly the CEO of Cradle Pharmaceutical, Gentaro Hongo. So what if I am? I don't know anything about this Nonary game that supposedly took place 9 years ago. Everything on that scrap of paper is bullshit. Someone is trying to set me up, you see. First of all... Ace stammered as he tried desperately to work himself into a more tenable position. Junpei, you're claiming I did this all by myself. Think that over, alright? How could I have killed Snake all by myself? Not Snake. It was Guy X. I don't care who it was. You said the killer put this other man in door 3, right? Yeah, maybe. Then I couldn't have possibly done that alone. I couldn't have opened door 3 with only myself and Guy X. Nope, you could have. What? What? He just needed 3 bracelets, not 3 people. And guess what? The bracelet for man number 9 would have been enough. 9 + 1 + 2. Ace's face was tight and his teeth were clenched. Junpei fixed him with a level stare. The trap was about to close. Actually, Ace, when you were unconscious, I took something from you. Remember when you were injected with that anesthetic and fell asleep in the big hospital room? Yeah, back then. I took this. Junpei put his hand back into his pocket. No, you couldn't have. Ace's right hand moved. Junpei smiled. Got you, Ace. Your right hand there tells me all I needed to know. You want to tell me what you were so worried about? What's in your pocket? It's the number 9 bracelet, isn't it? Ace, Guy X, and the 9th man's bracelet. That was all you needed to open door 3. That's how you killed Guy X by yourself, Ace. All you needed was the number 9 bracelet in your chest pocket. All this time I was suspecting so many people because I hadn't considered the thought that somebody had taken the bracelet. Because it was there last time we saw it. Oh man, so many theories out the window, but so many more. Ace lowered his hand from where it stopped halfway into his pocket. He looked down at the floor, his face hidden from Junpei. All he could see was the corner of Ace's mouth twitching like a dying fish. If you want to play innocent, that's fine by me. Go ahead. Tell me I don't have the bracelet if that's what you want to do. If you could take off your coat and hand it to me, I'd really appreciate it. Otherwise, we'll have to take it from you by force. Right, Seven? Yeah, it'd be my pleasure. Seven cracked his knuckles with a sound like gunfire. Ace roared with laughter. He threw his arms wide and head back and laughed, filling the room with a sound that scarcely belonged there. Then it stopped. His arms came down, his head dropped to look straight ahead at Junpei. Good boy! His face was flat and cold, devoid of any emotion. Well done, Junpei. As you so correctly deduced, I have the number 9 bracelet. I retrieved it while we were searching for the missing hardware for the Red. I left the room I was supposed to search and headed to the first-class cabin on B deck. His voice showed no emotion, no sense of remorse or interest. He was almost bored, as though he were reciting an especially dull corporate letter. My purpose was to obtain the number 9 bracelet. 9 is a potent ally in the nonary game. Adding 9 to any set of numbers won't alter the digital root. He's right. As you can see, 9 is a very useful number here. With it, one can go anywhere, with anyone. So I made for the first-class cabin to obtain it. Ace successfully acquired the number 9 bracelet. I also found the unexpected bonus, the knife the 9th man had been holding. Why didn't I make that connection? Of course, 9 was the only one with a knife on hand. I assumed they just found it somewhere. He slipped both of them into his chest pocket and left as quickly as he'd come. He walked down the stairs and headed back to where he was supposed to be. That was when he met Guy X and mistook him for Snake. Snake was on his way to the large hospital room and had not noticed Ace behind him. Ace made sure it stayed that way. He followed the man wearing Snake's clothes to door 3. When the man stopped, he walked up behind him quietly and called out, "Snake." "The hell are you?" The hell? Why was somebody even wearing Snake's clothes? And his bracelet? Unless Snake... No, Snake wouldn't just put anybody in his place. He was blind, but he wasn't an idiot. He knew somebody would recognize it right away. Man turned to look at Ace. He said nothing. No words came out of his half-open mouth. He seemed dazed somehow, almost like a man half asleep. Perhaps he'd been drugged? It didn't matter to Ace. Ace was certain the man was Snake. He knew Snake had been part of the nunnery game 9 years before. Snake hadn't recognized Ace immediately, but he was blind. That much made sense. Why then hadn't Snake said anything to him? Surely he hadn't forgotten what had happened to him in the nunnery game, but not once had he attempted to confront Ace. Perhaps his lack of sight had prevented him from recognizing Ace, or perhaps Snake had conspired with Zero to deceive Ace. In either event, he was a threat. It was better to deal with him sooner rather than later. Ace's mind was made up. He moved. He held the number 9 bracelet over the Red. He waved his own bracelet in front of the Red and finally grabbed Snake's arm and shoved his hand against the scanner panel. The door opened. Ace threw the man through it. 9 seconds later, the door shut. 81 seconds passed. The man inside the door passed away. After that, I returned to my post as though nothing had happened. After conducting my own search, I returned to the large hospital room when the 1 a.m. bell rang. Ace's eyes were cold and his cheeks were hollow and pallid. When he spoke, only his lips and tongue moved. The rest of his face was eerily still. Junpei stared at Ace, took a deep breath, and thought about the next question he had to ask. He didn't want to. He knew what the answer would be. He just didn't want to hear it. Let's see. 9 plus 1 plus 4. That only gives you a digital root of 5. You can't get a 9 from that. So why did he kill Clover? Junpei swallowed, then spoke. Ace, did you kill Clover? Yes. Why? Why did you kill her? She was Snake's sister. It's possible he had told her something dangerous. Additionally, she had gone through door 1. It seemed likely she might have found it. Found what? Why don't you go through door 1 yourself? Perhaps it's hidden somewhere. Seven and Lotus interrupted. Yeah, but Lotus and I went through door 1 too. You didn't see anything suspicious. Yes, I thought as much after I heard your report at the central stairs. I doubt the two of you could find it. But perhaps Clover was different. Perhaps she had found it, and was therefore desperate to find her. And at last I did, in the first-class cabin. I spoke very calmly. Did you see it? See what? Don't act as if you don't understand. You were in the captain's quarters, weren't you? Huh? What are you talking about? Very well. By the way, what are you doing here, Clover? What? Nothing. There's blood on your shoes. It looks fresh. Did you go take a look at the ninth man's corpse? I see. Your silence suggests that you noticed. You saw something, didn't you? You saw that his bracelet was gone. Clover ran. She made for the exit, but Ace stood in her way. You aren't going anywhere. Caught her by the collar as she passed, and threw her to the floor hard. She leapt back up and darted past him into the hallway. Ace followed at a run. He was faster. That was how I killed Clover. His face hadn't changed. If he felt guilt or remorse or anything one might feel after taking the life of another human being, it didn't show. You son of a bitch! Seven's whole body trembled with rage and his voice rumbled with hate. Santa's eyes were bloodthirsty, and Lotus and June's faces were distorted by anger and hatred. Ace looked at them and smiled. It was a cold, cruel thing with no humor in it. He shook his head and sighed. I admit it. I've lost. I have lost completely and utterly. But don't misunderstand, Junpei. I didn't lose to you. I lost to Zero, not you. I'm rather disgusted with myself for falling for such a simple trap. And it was a trap. Make no mistake. I was trapped and manipulated by Zero. The man I killed in the shower room. If he wasn't Snake, then I have no idea who he was. But he was wearing Snake's clothes, and that was no coincidence. He had also been injected with something that reduced his cognition and prevented him from identifying himself or resisting me. And we can't forget the components that were removed from the red before we arrived. I have no doubt that Zero planned all of this. Zero made sure I would kill that man. You know what? Well, yes, the situation was manipulated so that you would probably kill him. At the end of the day, you're the one who pushed him through that door. It follows, of course, that Zero knew everything I would do. That I would try to take the number 9 bracelet. That I would try to kill Snake. Everything. Suddenly, Junpei remembered the paper he'd found in the safe. He remembered the last words Zero had written on it. I must punish them for the innocent lives they sacrificed. This is the only warning they will receive. That innocent souls might be saved, I now state the truth. Zero. And he remembered other words he heard from Clover. I think Zero is one of us. One by one, Junpei looked at the 5 people standing in front of him. Ace, Santa, June, Seven, and Lotus. Zero is one of us. No, Junpei paused. There's one more person. Snake. It was clear now that the man who died in the shower room was not Snake. That meant Snake was almost certainly still alive. Perhaps Snake was Zero. Perhaps Snake had made Guy X wear his clothes so that he could appear to be dead. Where was Snake now? Perhaps he was somewhere laughing at them. If he was Zero, surely he lied about many other things. Was he watching them? I don't think so. If so, then he manipulated events in such a way that ended up getting Clover killed. I don't think Snake is actually involved in this on purpose. Well, I believe I finished with my confession. Yeah, here's the next problem, folks. How do we do this? Are we going to execute him? I mean, come on. How are we going to punish Ace? I don't think we get to. I believe I finished my confession. Why don't we get moving? He sounded as if he'd just finished doing nothing more exciting than describing the weather. For Santa, it was the last straw. What the hell is this shit? You aren't going anywhere, you son of a bitch! We're gonna leave your ass here to rot! That's, not a good idea. Why? Because I killed Clover? That's ridiculous. Why are you so upset I killed the little bitch? She was nothing to you. A stranger you only met a few hours ago. Hey, Yoshkev. Yeah, it turns out Ace is a homicidal idiot. Am I wrong? You bastard! Steven roared and lifted a fist that would likely have shattered Ace's jaw. Someone else was faster. It was Lotus. She stepped forward toward Ace, raised a fist of her own, and drove it straight into his nose. You've got some fire, don't you? I confess, I rather like tough women. A tough woman. He sniffed and wiped a single trickle of blood from his nose with a raised eyebrow. Well, maybe you'd like another one then. Before that, let me give you one of my own. Huh? Lotus scarcely had time to blink. Ace snaked his arms around her and pulled Lotus back up against him. In the same motion, he reached into his coat pocket. Fuck! I forgot the gun. I like your logic, thinking it can't be Snake. It could be Snake if their relationship wasn't nearly as good as they led us to believe. But that means, why is Clover acting like the way she was? She was a little too nice about him. So I don't think she was faking. Until the gun happens. It was a gun. The revolver. Almost lazily, he tilted it and pointed at Lotus's head. If any of you so much as blink, I won't hesitate to pull this trigger. I've already killed 2. No. 3 people. Don't think I'm not ready to make it a 4. 3 people? What do you mean? Very well. Let me take this opportunity to illuminate you. The person who killed the 9th man was me. Although I suppose to be more accurate, I encouraged him to get himself killed. Was 9 a pharmaceutical worker? While we were examining the main staircase, he came to me and told me his name. I recognized it at once, so I gave him a little push. Just a little white lie. It seems the setting for the dead were altered. Now it only requires a single person to deactivate the detonator in the bracelet. Investigate what's beyond door 5. We'll meet again later. Okay. Have a good one, guys. I'm going off ahead now. Well then. This entire time we thought Zero was the one who tricked the 9th man. But no, that wouldn't make sense. He wouldn't have wanted anybody to die like that. He'd want them to die from implosion. Of course it would be somebody else. Of course it would be Ace. Ugh. Every death so far has been Ace's fault. But there's no possible way, no way in hell, Zero would think this is punishing Ace. Ace doesn't mind killing people right now. He's okay with it. So if he wanted to punish Ace, he wouldn't do it this way. Unless he needs everybody that's in this Nonary game to be punished. Shit! Why isn't it stopping? God damn it! You lied! Oh, open the door! Please! I'm begging you! Help me! Please get me out of here! Get me out of here! Oh my god! Oh my god, there's no time left! Listen, I was lied to! He lied to me! He put me in here! It was him! He killed me! It was him! I had 4 reasons for killing him. As I said before, it's the Nonary game. The number 9 bracelet is of the utmost importance. If I allowed him to keep such a useful tool, he, or it, would have become a threat to me. As such, I decided that he should be eliminated early on. I wanted the number 9 bracelet. If I could manage to obtain it, I'd be able to manipulate the game as I saw fit. I'd be unable to acquire the bracelet unless its owner was dead. Even setting aside his number, he would have been nothing but trouble for me. Still wondering why the 9th man didn't actually say his name? Wouldn't have helped, Yoshkev. Unless he wasn't really paying attention when everybody was getting the code names. So I'm not even sure he knew that Ace was number 1. So he would have used the real name. What? Which wouldn't have mattered to us. I think the code names were... No, the code names were chosen before 9 died. Because we were choosing code names and then we went to 9 and asked, okay, what's your code name? They were totally chosen before 9 died. He was aware of my past. He knew what happened here 9 years ago. It was important that I eliminate him before he was able to disseminate this information. See, it's possible that he just wasn't paying attention to the code names because he's like, ah. Yeah, he could have described what Ace looked like. That was an oversight. That much is oversight. He was in a panic. He was like, oh shit, he lied to me. Bracelet's exploding. Help. He lied to me. Help, help, help. Someone get me out of here, please, please, please. He wasn't concerned about telling the identity of the person who just killed him. He was only concerned with, you know, living. That said, I think it's actually... Oopsies. I need to save. Because we haven't saved for a while. No. No, no, no. Okay. Try this again. Okay. Whew. I keep pressing the wrong buttons. Alright. That said, it is time for our last break of the day. So get up, stretch what you need to do, be able to keep watching comfortably, and I will be right back.